How can you get free from porn addiction and porn use? I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist with Mended Light, and this is Ask a Therapist. Let's do this. Mended Light. I get questions all the time from you guys, and one that comes up often is, how do I get free from porn addiction? And a lot of people say, well, you can't get addicted to porn. It's not a substance. So maybe we say porn compulsion. I don't really care. What it really comes down to is using porn as a way to cope with life, using porn as an escape, and it getting in the way of your daily functioning. Whether you're not getting your work done, whether you're not connecting with your spouse and family, people have a lot of reasons for not watching porn. For some, it's the amount of time consumed, it's the amount of energy. For some, it's a moral opposition, either for theological reasons or because the porn industry is, there's so many awful things that's connected to sexual abuse tied to the mafia. And as somebody who has quit watching porn, I can tell you, it doesn't portray healthy relationships. It's all objectification. It's all what's taboo. It's all there's not a lot of love and tenderness and kindness and decency and seeing people as human beings in porn. It is boiling someone down to just what they look like and just what their appearances are. It's also a very poor educator of what healthy sexuality is. The way sex works in porn is not the way sex works in real life. It's like watching the Rocky movies for like actual boxing techniques. Like, turns out using your head to wear out your opponent isn't a real technique. Rocky 3, I'm looking at you. Knock me out! Come on, knock me out! Movies aren't reality, and porn is especially egregious because a lot of people model what they want to try in the bedroom after what they watch on their computer screens. And what they watch on their computer screens is often abusive, or at the very least, not based in reality in the actual sexual response, and it's not based in respect. So there are a lot of different reasons to want to quit. For me personally, I felt the light inside me dimming the more I consumed it. And I also felt that my views towards women were shifting in a way that I wasn't comfortable with, that weren't in line with who I was. And yet it was really, really difficult to stop, because porn is exciting. Because when you're sad, or when you're anxious, or when you're afraid, or when you're angry, it's a release, it's a distraction. And because of the release of dopamine, porn is often accompanied by masturbation. Because of that dopamine release over and over and over again, it becomes habit forming. You feel like you want to chase that. The same way I chase the Oreo shake from Chick-fil-A. You know, Chick-fil-A's Oreo shake is literally the best thing on the planet. And I just keep going after it because of that dopamine release every single time. So how do we leave this behind?
How? Yes.
How do we move on? The first thing is to recognize and to ask yourself, do I really want to be done with this? And if you're being honest, if you're in the middle of it, for most people it's a partial yes and a partial no. Yes, for all the reasons I've listed. No, because in a pinch, in a bind, it does provide that release. So the first thing is to walk towards full commitment. And I say walk towards because there are all sorts of powerful inspirational stories of people who said, I decided to quit cold turkey, and from that day on, I never watched it again. Just like there are stories of people who, I had a 2-pack-a-day cigarette habit and then I just quit, right? Or I just stopped drinking. And while those stories are inspirational and they do happen, more often they cause discouragement for the rest of us, for whom quitting a habit is a process and takes time. And if we think that others can just stop and why can't we stop, then we tend to feel like failures. So let me tell you what has helped me and what has helped people that I've worked with who wanted to leave this behind.
Okay, I'm listening.
The first thing is to walk towards full commitment. When I say walk towards full commitment, that means even though you don't plan to stumble, you recognize that stumbles are likely going to happen. I went from a daily habit to wanting to quit cold turkey, and I was getting frustrated with myself because I was still slipping up, and I was talking to basically my sponsor about that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to leave this behind. And they said, well, how much are you watching porn now? I'm like, once or twice a month. And this was daily before? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so you've gone from 30 times a month to once or twice a month? I'm like, yeah. And they said, that's huge. Celebrate that. Celebrate that progress. Celebrate that. Slip-ups, okay, slip-ups are going to happen, but how many days have you not, right? So the second thing is to eliminate black or white thinking. Black or white thinking is all or nothing thinking. It's, I'm either a success or I'm a failure, period. The fact is, just like getting in better shape, just like developing a new habit, Just like learning to be a better lover, a better partner, a better spouse, a better parent, a better friend. Just like learning anything, it takes time. And the fact is, stopping porn is a learned behavior. You have to learn to do something else with those negative feelings, with that stress, with that anxiety, with that depression, with that sadness, with that anger. You have to learn to replace it with something else, and that takes time to find the right replacements. But that's the third step, is find the healthy replacements. Ask yourself when and where, right? When, where, and why. When do I consume porn, right? Is it alone at night in my bedroom? Is it at the office? Where am I most likely to do this, and when? Is it after lunch? Is it after breakfast? Is it at a certain time in the afternoon? Or is it not at a certain time? Is it when I'm feeling a certain way? When certain things are going on, right? I just had a fight with my spouse. Or I don't know how we're going to pay our bills this month. Or my kids are making me want to pull my hair out. The thing about pornography is most people think it's about sex. It's really about dealing with emotions.
Agree.
Right? The sex is just the flavor. Like that's just what the form that it takes, is that sexual release. But people turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to cigarettes, they turn to violence, they turn to all sorts of things. They turn to hours and hours and hours of Netflix just to make stuff go away, right? Just to deal with what's going on in here. Ask yourself when, where, and why. And then interrupt the sequence. If it's, right after your lunch break, okay, what are you going to do right after your lunch break instead to feel a release, to feel good? Are you going to go for a walk around the block? You're going to do some push-ups? You're going to listen to some Enya? I don't know what you're going to do. Who can say where the road... When it comes to the emotions, identify when am I most likely to watch porn. Surprisingly, it's not when you're turned on, right? You watch porn to get turned on, because getting turned on is replacing stress and sadness and anger and whatever else is going on in here and here. When am I most likely to watch it? Like, what am I feeling? And what am I going to do to feel good instead? Healthy replacements are key. The fourth thing is to recognize that healthy replacements feel good and bring peace, but they don't have the rush of doing something naughty. They don't have the rush of doing something that maybe you're morally opposed to, and that you're going to have to embrace life without that rush. Or maybe finding another way to get an adrenaline rush. Become a skydiver, right? Become a rock climber. Take up speed biking, I don't know. But there's a little rush from doing something that's wrong that we don't get from doing what's right. And nobody really talks about that. But for me, I actually had to mourn the loss of the rush. I was making a trade. I wanted peace. I wanted peace here and here. I wanted to live in alignment with my values. I didn't want to support an industry that does so much harm, both to the consumers, but also to the actors.
Porn is bad.
I didn't want to be taking part of something that was shifting my perceptions of women and of sexuality and of myself. Because the fact is, I hated my body when I was watching porn because I didn't look like those guys. I wanted a major shift towards really loving myself, seeing women differently, and approaching sexuality from a realistic, healthy way. And so I made that shift, and I realized I was making a trade. I was trading one thing for the other. And I was trading that little endorphin rush of doing something wrong for the peace of doing something that I believed was right. I built in safeguards. What that looked like was, okay, I am most susceptible on my computer, so I'm going to make sure the door is open when I'm using the computer. I'm going to be in a public place, and I'm going to be where anyone could walk up at any time and see what I'm doing. And I had uplifting videos that I could watch. I had a playlist pulled up that when I felt pulled to watch porn, I'd be like, I'm going to watch this instead. I'm going to fill myself with a little bit of light instead of a little bit of darkness. And I'm not even trying to moralize. I'm just saying, like, there's no real connection or beauty in porn. You could argue maybe with some erotica, some relationship-based erotica that there is, but definitely not in porn. Porn's all like milkman, stepsister, ridiculous crap. Like, it's, ugh. Anyways, so those are my safeguards. And then when the safeguards failed, I had someone I could call. I had someone I could talk to. And the best thing for me was I would just get out. There was no, because oftentimes I'd be working and I'd be stressed and overworked from all the work that I had to do. And the temptation would come because I was stressed. And I could tell you there's no amount of work that you can't walk away for 15 minutes because you're going to spend those 15 minutes watching porn anyway. So go outside and go for a walk around the block. I found that just going out for a little bit, by the time I got back, It was either the draw was either gone or it was manageable. They say the cure for addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. And there's truth to this. Porn use, porn compulsion, porn addiction, whatever you want to call it, thrives in secrecy. Right? It thrives when you feel ashamed. It thrives when you don't feel like you can tell anybody. It just keeps. What if they knew? What would they think of you? Right? Would they still accept you? Would they reject you? And so we keep it to ourselves and we do it in secret. And then because we don't want to tell anybody, we don't get help. We don't get support. So open up. That would be my fifth step. Is open up. Maybe sixth. I think I might have lost track of my numbers, but open up. Find someone you can talk to about this. Don't bear this alone. Have someone you can talk to when you're struggling. These are my ideas. Not just my ideas, these are tools that have been proven to work in helping people to leave behind a porn compulsion. And I hope it helps you. If you enjoyed this video, I want to point you to, is addiction a mental illness or a way of coping? Also like, subscribe, click the bell. How do you cope with stress, anxiety, depression? What healthy skills, tools do you have? Let us know in the comments below. How would you overcome a porn habit? Let us know in the comments below. If you are struggling with this, or no matter what you are struggling with, Mended Light is here to help you. We have therapists who are qualified and ready to serve you. So please, in the description below, you will find links to set up a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with a member of my team, and they are standing by ready to help. I'm Jonathan Decker of Mended Light. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me for this segment, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Well, there it is. It's the video I was telling you about. You got time. You know you got time for another one. Click it. Click it.